Oh yeah, I've definitely been on a switch from coffee to espresso lately. I am really lacking the dark brew here. I thought maybe Nella was going to join us, but she's too busy looking out every window possible at every squirrel possible. Alright, so what I'm going to do here in this video is kind of do a follow-up to one of my most viewed videos about a year ago. I'll put a link down in the bottom below. Basically, in the bottom below. I will put a link below to that video, and what I'm referring to is the "So You're Thinking About Joining the Military" video. It was something that just kind of felt natural to me because I had been in the military. I was active duty in the Army for 6 years, and once I started making these videos and becoming a little bit more clear about my past and who I was, a lot of people were interested in my time in the military, my time in the Army, what I did, what I liked, what I didn't like, and so it just seemed like a natural video to make. Now, it has been, like I said, about a year later, and I wanted to do a follow-up video to the next step. So you're thinking about joining the Army, Marines, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard. You're in it, it's not really working out for you, or you feel like you would best be suited for something else. And so what I'm gonna do with this is talk about what comes next. So you're thinking about leaving the military. I wanted to go through some reasons about why I think the military has its pros, its cons, and my bottom line for what you need to do and my reflection upon exiting the military. All right, got a little cheat sheet here on my phone. Okay, so let me go over the pros of being in the military and also some reasons why I liked leaving the military. Now, bottom line disclaimer is leaving the military was not my own choice. I was injured about 4.5 years into my 6-year contract for a pre-deployment training. I wound up getting sent to a medical hold unit like I've talked about before. I, as a result, had to have both my hips completely reconstructed. I had a torn hamstring, L1, L2 vertebrae were all jacked up, and I had reconstructive surgery, like I said, in my hips, 2 pins in either hip to help keep my femur stabilized after I had my femur restructured. So really got banged up for someone who didn't even get the chance to go over to Afghanistan. I was training for that. So my TDYs and stuff in my time in were all in other parts of the country, other parts of the world. I was an intelligence specialist. I was a Russian linguist, and so they don't really speak Russian over in Iraq and Afghanistan, but I wanted to donate my services in intelligence gathering and just being a soldier, foot on the ground, in any way, shape that I could. So it wasn't in the cards. I got medically discharged after all my surgeries. So why I really liked being in the military, and some pros for I think why maybe some people would like to stay in the military are that, bottom line, you have structure. You have camaraderie, you have your brothers and your sisters to the left and right of you. You always have someone who's gonna have your back no matter what. And so I really think having that structure, infrastructure, camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it, is something that just hands down goes without saying, and you know is always going to be there. And leaving that can be a scary thing. People leave the military, get back into the civilian world, and everyone's just kind of usually doing their own thing, climbing the corporate ladder. It's just not the same, in my opinion, and so leaving that, not having that stability, that structure, is kind of a scary thing. Not to say that it's not doable and you won't adjust. You will, trust me, no matter what your experience was in the military. You will find a way to integrate back into civilian life. Now, some of the pros of why I liked leaving the military was freedom of choice. Now, in the Army, whatever branch of service you choose, you are going to have to always be told what to do, and that's just part of the territory. You have to be told where to be, when to be, and how to look. So one thing that I really liked is you can do whatever the hell you want. No like balls early PT, physical training. No more like 4:15, 5:15 a.m. training to go run like 5 miles when I can barely wipe the sleep out of my eyes. Probably haven't brushed my teeth yet either. Hair and facial hair. Oh my God, if I had known the Army was so pro facial hair and headgear, hats all the time, I probably would have seriously reconsidered. Come to think of it, I was like 17 when I joined, so I never really thought, hey, you know what, I've never seen an Army guy with facial hair. There are certain jobs, certain MOSs, certain things, tasks, missions where you will grow out your hair, you will grow out your facial hair, but you know what, for most of the part, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, whatever your schedule is, clean shaven every day, hair has to be cut faded to a certain extent. And so I always like to keep my hair cut regularly, but God, the facial hair thing. I mean, look at me. Who wants to shave this every day? Another reason why I liked leaving the military is that you have the potential to earn more money. Now, the Army compensates you in a lot of different ways. You'll have your regular pay, and anything you do outside of your normal job, such as, like myself, speaking a different language, airborne pay, jump pay, any extra skill that you bring to the table that you do regularly for your job, the Army will pay you extra monthly incentives for, but it's not like sales or anything out here in the corporate world where the more you work, ideally the more money you make. Another big thing that is a scary thing for people leaving that I think is a big pro of staying in was the free healthcare, housing, and food. You stub your toe, you go to the doctor, it's covered. You have cancer, go to the doctor, it's covered. You're always gonna have a roof over your head. They're always gonna give you money each month for food, or you have the option to go down to the DFAC, that's Army code for dining facility. Why they can't just say cafeteria, I don't know. The Army's weird, they like to have acronyms for everything. Those are some of the reasons why I think staying in has this big appeal and are big reasons why people don't want to leave, because they lose all that structure and kind of immediate support, housing, healthcare. So, if you are leaving the military, I'm just gonna go ahead and drop my phone because I can talk about this all day. If you are planning on leaving the military, whatever branch you are in, you need to do your homework, you need to plan for it. When I was getting out, because of the medical hold unit that I was in, odds are 9 out of 10 guys, girls, are going to be phased out, medically discharged, medically retired, and back into civilian life. And so they did a good job in bringing in certain people to better prepare us for that. We had resume building workshops, we had computer workshops, we had what is my job equal in the civilian sector. So I was kind of in a special situation. Now getting out, ETSing on your own, something that you're gonna have to do some homework on preparing for yourself. Now what you need to do, no matter what, 6 months out of your ETS, your separation date, whatever, file your claim with the VA, the Veterans Affairs. I don't care if you stubbed your toe, have acne, suffer from headaches, ear ringing, tinnitus, if you were in combat or a training accident or anything to where you suffered at all, if you had any injury or illness that was because of your military service or made worse by your military service, i.e. something that you had, the military knew about when you joined, but it was made worse because of your service, during your service, for any reason, get it documented when it happens, and then 6 months out, file a claim, a disability claim with the Veterans Affairs. Now, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure all you need in order to get your foot in the door to a VA medical center for healthcare, I think is 40%. So that means whatever you had service-connected disability rating for, at 40% or greater, you can be seen for anything really, family practice, urgent care, whatever, at any VA center. Also, in that same 6-month time frame, start building your resume and applying and looking for jobs. So many people leave the military, the next day they're like, oh shit, I don't have a job, I don't have a paycheck coming in 2 weeks, what do I do? Take the time before you leave to learn what your skills equal from the military into the civilian world. Look at all your credentials. Many things that we do in the military have education benefits. They count as credentials for degrees. So if you're gonna be going into school, hey, you got a lot of free credits right there. Get a transcript, look at schools, apply to jobs, see who will take you and where you wanna go. Meet with recruiters. There are so many people that have job fairs on bases that have recruiters for civilian jobs coming to look for people with your particular skill set. Now, I think a while back someone commented on my So You're Thinking About Joining the Military video about, oh, I was a tank driver in the Army, so what am I gonna do once I become a civilian? You have learned a lot of different things, whether you realize it or not, outside of your one particular MOS. So, yes, in my case, I was an intelligence analyst, intelligence specialist, Russian linguist. It is so easy to transition to go work for the government and do the exact same thing I was doing for the Army, now for NSA, FBI, any real big government agency. So going into the intelligence community is a much easier transition back into the civilian sector afterwards. But even if you were an infantryman, if you were a cook, if you were a graphic designer, whatever job you had in the military, start looking about 6 months out into the civilian world, meet with recruiters, meet with headhunters, just put up your resume on Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, whatever. I promise you, there is an equivalent for what you were doing for Uncle Sam out here in the corporate world, okay? And also with that, your DD-214 is hands down the most important document that you need to maintain multiple copies of once you leave the military. Trust me, Uncle Sam is gonna lose shit and the VA is gonna lose shit. You need to have copies of that DD-214. Basically, that DD-214, that one piece of paper, is your entire military history. And you need to make sure that you have proof of what you did so that you can serve it to them for the services due to you when you need them, okay? Looking back, I most likely would have stayed in, re-enlisted, gone to officer candidate school to become an officer to kind of get that upper level management experience. Also, officers make more pay than enlisted folk. I made E6 Staff Sergeant in 5 years. I finished my 6 years as an E6. Very hard to do. I was very proud of myself for making rank that quickly. I worked my ass off for that. And so the next step definitely would have been to go to work my ass off even more as an officer. I really enjoyed the idea of joining the military at 17, doing my 20 years, retiring at 37, getting that military retirement pay, and then going into my next career. At 37, you're so young, and just take that next step into the corporate world. So bottom line, if I wasn't forced to leave, I probably would have stayed in for at least one more re-enlistment term, gone up to my 10-year time, and at 10 years you have to commit to stay for 20 or you're out. So I would have stayed in for at least 10 years, figured it out, and then honestly I think retiring at age 37 would have been pretty nice. So always do your homework. Never sign anything without knowing exactly what you are signing. That is hands down great information for going into the military and leaving. 6 months out, apply for jobs, apply for school, get your information in for the VA for your disability. And yeah, so if any of you guys, gals that are in the military, about to leave, thinking of leaving, have any other more specific questions, please leave them down below. Or if you are currently out of the military and have any other tips, tricks, advice you'd like to leave for our brothers and sisters in arms, please leave it down below as well. I am an open book about my military career. I'm an open book about what I did afterwards. I went to school, got my undergraduate, finishing up my master's, started working in a completely different field. Like I said, I was a Russian linguist. Now I work as a health coach. So the only time I get to speak Russian is if I just so happen to have a Russian client, okay? So thanks again for watching, guys. Like I said, I'll leave a description down below for the link for my other video. Anything about the military, going in, serving, or exiting, please ask me, all right? See you next time.